welcome to Post-Truth Apocalypse. I'm Ben, and this week I'm hanging out with Gaz.
Hello.
And Mike.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk about the Hatton Garden Heist, one of the finest heists in British history.
Yeah.
Perpetrated by some of the golden age of criminals. You picked this, Gaz. You love a bit of criminality.
Well, I called them earlier the Galacticos of the golden era of robbery, who came out of retirement for one last job. This is like Rocky VI, you know?
Oh, yeah, when you look at it that way.
That's what they did. They couldn't help. They couldn't just settle down, do something legit, could they?
They've all earned their money through ill-gotten gains.
And the leader, the one who planned it, he already lived in a big house, living off the other fucking robberies he'd done in the...
I don't think many of these guys were fucking poor.
So, a couple of them were struggling, but the one who planned it, I just think, literally, he was just like, I'll just get back in the ring for one last... We've just seen Tyson, have a fake fight, but still, it was... Just get back in the ring for one last go.
Don't get me started on that Tyson.
This is nothing like that fight though, because that fight was such a letdown.
Yeah, it was, and this is not a letdown.
No.
This is one of the best, most famous robberies in British history. Which in
biggest?
Recent history, only 9 years ago.
Yeah.
2015 or 14 was it? Or either way,
Fairly recent.
It's like the dad's army of robberies, isn't it?
It is. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I like that. I like that analogy. Let's thank some new return listeners, and then we will crack on. So Frankfurt am Main in Germany, Telford, our hometown in the UK, big up to Telford.
Telford till I die.
Ashburn in the US, Ann Arbor in the US, Rotterdam in Holland, Council Bluffs in the US, Gillingham in the UK, Boardman in the US, Falkenstein in Germany, Guadalajara, Spain, Greenville, Des Moines, Des Plaines, and how would you say that top one, Mike? Waukegan?
God knows who the Americans.
Waukegan, baby. Waukegan. All in the US. Thank you very much for listening. Tell a friend. Tell them to find us on Facebook at Cutting Through the Bull in the PTA.
No. In the Post-Truth Apocalypse.
Post-Truth Apocalypse on Facebook. Cutting Through the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse on Facebook. YouTube is Apocalypse Bull. And SoundCloud and Spotify and all your other podcasting platforms are Cutting Through the Bull in the PTA.
I'll drink to that.
So, in April of 2015, 6 professional thieves broke into the Hatton Garden Safe Deposit Company in London, one of the world's most famous safe deposit companies.
Yeah, I suppose as a brief bit of backstory, it's like incredibly prestigious has-beens. It might say in the article somewhere, but I think for like 100 years or so, one of the most prestigious vaults in London, and particularly popular with undesirables. That's not confirmed, but I did hear that from my contacts.
Well, they made off with some £14 million sterling. That's $19.47 million in US in valuables after raiding around 70 safe deposit boxes. The theft was carried out a la Ocean's 11, using master planning and intricate tools to rob one of London's most historic jewellery hotspots. Named for Sir Christopher Hatton, Hatton Garden actually dates back to medieval times and has long been notable for the master craftsmen, warrior monks, Italians, and most recently Hasidic and Orthodox Jews who have traded there for generations. The Safe Deposit Company was quite ripe for the picking.
You fucking bet your ass it was.
And who better to pull off such a daring robbery than a gathering of professional thieves with decades of experience? These elderly gentlemen bandits,
They were fucking pensioners.
calling them gentlemen is possibly a little bit too much. They were around in the golden era of British crime when people were knocking off security vans and
Listen, you fucking
and they did hurt some people back in the day.
Right, one of them poured petrol over somebody, threatened to set him on fire.
I'd imagine that was quite distressing.
Yes, and spoke in a northern, because it was the 80s, he spoke in an Irish accent to try and convince him he was IRA, and stole the money. Nobody died. The leader of the gang, one of his associates, stabbed a policeman to death, stabbed him 10 times and he died. However, what's his name? We'll get to it. The leader of the gang, he was acquitted of everything murder-wise, But the police never forgave him.
As they wouldn't.
Because his associate murdered a policeman, but he didn't, crucially. So we can still respect him and love him.
I don't know, but they were slick.
They were very slick. Well, used to be. They weren't at this point. They were doddering old fucking... They had, one of them had diabetes, one of them had asthma. They were fucking ancient. They're in the 70s.
They did, but I also think they'd have gotten away with it. Number one, if it wasn't for those pesky kids.
Yes, they fucked up by being... It's
and
very...
number two, a bit of some childish errors.
It's paradoxical. It's paradoxical, right? Because they're masterminds who were clever enough to pull this off. But because of their age, they had a misunderstanding of how some modern things work. Really simple things that we look at and go, oh my God, you knob. That got them caught. Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like they were good enough to do it and pull it off, but they got caught because they didn't understand the modern world, essentially. They're men out of time. They didn't understand how... We'll get to this, spoilers.
So you're saying that if it was taking place in the 60s, this, or the 70s...
No chance they'd have got caught. No chance. They got caught because of using their own car in front of CCTV...
Yeah.
Where they thought they'd be safe in a different part of town, YouTubing things, literally YouTubing how to use the drill that you've stolen.
Didn't they also have a book, Forensic for Dummies?
Wrote everything down. Yeah, he'd Googled forensic, how to destroy forensics. No understanding of how your internet footprint works or anything, IP, none of that.
Just also, what was it as well? Going to buy a new pump.
Oh, and using your own vehicle.
Using your name and vehicle.
Giving them your own address because they wouldn't have rented it to you otherwise. But why didn't you just use... Back in the day, they would have known to have had an alien.
Yeah, so they're a bit more savvy with today's modern...
Mm-hmm. They would have 100... But some would say they did get away with it, Mike, because of the 14 million stolen.
Not all of it has been recovered, has it? Yeah.
It's been recovered.
Yeah. So they were slick.
Yes, and old.
They were able to access the safe deposit boxes without actually entering the company's building, reports City Jam. They also dared to return a second time after accidentally setting off an alarm. And most notably, the men stole not just cash, but hard-to-track jewellery, precious stones, expensive watches, and other carefully selected items. Although they were caught after selling some of the loot for a mere fraction of what it is worth, only a small portion of the goods have been recovered to this day. And the one guy, well, it was only the one guy that sold off some of it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The last one to be caught.
Because they fucked up and involved 2 extra people they didn't need to. One of them gave it to his brother-in-law, who gave it to Billy the Fish, who had nothing to do with anything. And they were just like, oh, God, it's 2 extra people you've involved now. You didn't need to know anything. And several of them owned smelters. Which is mad to me. One of them had a smelter in his bedroom. In his bedroom, like in a flat. Don't they get to like thousands of degrees?
I think so, wouldn't you?
It's like industrial equipment, isn't it? In his bedroom.
Fucking hell.
Where'd you buy a smelter?
I bet you can buy one somewhere. I bet you can buy one somewhere quite easily.
Oh, God.
If you've got the money, you can get anything you want.
That's true, yeah.
Be on eBay.
Yeah.
Without the internet, though, you can just go down to a certain pub and like, listen, mate, I really need a smelter. Do you know anybody? Oh, yeah. Billy the Smelter. He'll fucking smelt anything.
On the evening of April 2nd, 2015, 5 men emerged from a white van in front of the Hatton Garden safe deposit.
Oh, Ben, does it say a key point of this we should explain to the Americans is the concept of a bank holiday weekend?
Oh, yes.
What happens to our country on a bank holiday weekend?
Shuts down.
Basically, from late Friday to Tuesday, anything unessential just closes. Yeah. Big supermarkets, chain stores, they don't.
Local independent shops.
Yeah,
they stay open.
Yeah, some do, don't they? But
corner shops, yeah.
Most things, though, the idea is everything is shut, and everyone gets a little extra long weekend. Basically, we've got about 3 of them or 4, is there, over the year?
Even more than that.
Barring retail, pretty much everything just goes.
It just
shuts,
and that is key to this because it's.
And it's the Easter weekend.
Yeah,
which means it's Friday and Monday off.
Which means most workers would expect, wouldn't they? Like, I'm off.
Yeah.
And that's key to this. Like, because even the guy who comes back, you know, to check things, I think because he did a half-assed job, didn't he?
Yeah.
He went, oh yeah, it looks alright to me. Because what was he thinking, Ben? It's Easter weekend, you cunts. I'm not, fuck this shit, fuck
I'm
me.
not working bank holiday weekend.
Fuck off. I do enough for you pricks. That's what, it's a big thing in British culture, isn't it? Bank holiday weekend.
I think we're getting an extra one next year, or maybe two.
That's how you win us over.
Well, it didn't work, did it, for Corbyn? He was going to give us loads.
Anyway, a bit mine.
St George's Day, wasn't it?
Oh,
He was gonna
don't bring
give us-
him up on one of these episodes.
Been there, done it.
Hey, if you're going to bring up Trump, I'm bringing up Corbyn. Fuck you.
Who would win?
Yeah,
Who
the
would
problem
win?
is Corbyn lost.
Very slightly.
Twice.
Only because his own party stabbed him in the back.
Doesn't matter, he's still lost.
And Trump just grabs him
A
by
few
the
thousand
pussy.
votes from victory, Ben.
Is that the first time, yes.
The robbery!
Anyway. 5 men emerged from a white van in front of the Hatton Garden safe deposit, carrying bags, garbage bins and tools. The group approached the fire escape and were met by a mysterious red-haired man who led them inside.
He's
Once
the
in-
cleverest of them all.
He is. He's the guy that got away with it longest. Once in, the men disabled
Was he
an
Sideshow
elevator.
Bob?
Bit though, hey, he's the only one though, Mike, who put wigs on, and every time he was in the
Face
street, he held a bag over his face. He
clever.
was,
He was the only one that understood surveillance techniques.
and he was the electronics expert who killed the alarm.
They accessed the vault of the safe depository using a heated DD getting greedy then.
Double D.
Double D 350 drill to bore their way through a nearly 10-foot thick wall. Once inside, the thieves ransacked numerous safety deposit boxes before departing. But of course, there is more to the story. Let's begin with the alarm, which went off while the thieves were still in the vault.
So, but they've skipped over quite a bit. You got to imagine then, somehow, and they don't know this yet, somehow Basil, the one who hid his face the most, right, he somehow, and they still don't know how, had a fucking key.
Yeah, they don't know.
He had a fucking key. So whether
Key
there was
to
an
what?
insight to the fucking building.
To the door.
That's how
Oh.
they got in the first place, cut the alarm, and then got down into the lift shaft. Like, there was a key.
Yeah, because he was inside already, wasn't he?
No,
The redhead man.
no, but think, the point, how did they get in the first place?
Yeah.
He had a key to
Yeah.
the door. He opened it.
How would
Gary-
you get a key?
I will guarantee you,
Even
we went
inside-
down there one weekend,
Do you know what it showed in the
banged a load
movie?
of soap into the lock.
That's what I was thinking.
Right, what it showed in the movie, and I have no idea if this is where they got this from. In the movie, they were just walking along casual chatting, and he had a key with like all this plaster stuff on the end of it.
Yeah.
And they were stood there chatting, and he shoved it in casually, pulled it out, and they carried on, and then he somehow back engineered that into the key. But that's how they got it. Like, so they were, these guys, bumbling old pensioners.
They're highly trained professional criminals.
Yeah,
You know,
they're the 18, and they're in their 70s. That's why I love this story. They've just decided, fuck it. He has Brian Reader. That's it. I couldn't remember his name earlier, but the governor. He decided, let's have one last go at the big one,
why not?
at the big one.
Well, I
Love
guess
it.
for them, it's not really the money and the jewels per se. It's the thrill of it and to actually achieve it.
Yeah, and from the thing I listened to the other day, like back in the day when they were sort of 60s, 70s, they were the lords of their manors. Like, as you know, like people, they were celebrities. People knew who they
Part of
were.
the London
And
Underground.
apparently, a lot of robberies, people shared bits of the, would go to the pub and dish a bit out. Not all of it, obviously. Yeah, they were. So imagine if that was 30 years ago, and you're a nobody now. You're an invisible old man. People like. You know how old people get treated in public and that, and you're thinking like, I used to fucking be somebody, man. I used to be the governor.
Do you know the fuck I am?
You haven't
I'm
got
Roddy
fucking
Parkinson.
Roddy
fucking
Pickering.
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 Bullock,
Sorry.
do you want a bare knuckle?
Roddy Parkinson's my Brentford captain on Champo. Roddy Pickering. My obsession when he scores, I was like, do you know who I am? Fucking Roddy Parkinson. Roddy Pickering, yes.
But these old boys. God bless
YouTube
'em.
Ronnie Pickering.
Oh yeah, Christ! If
You
don't
won't
know
be
who he is.
disappointed.
No, You know the answer to that.
You'll never be disappointed. Brian Reader. That's who Michael Caine played in the movie. It was perfect casting.
Yeah, he does look a bit like him.
So the alarm went off. The company owner Alok Bavashi thought little of it, since an insect had triggered the alarm before. And when security guard Kevin Stockwell showed up almost an hour later, police concluded there was no reason to investigate.
So they found nothing.
But do you know what the security guard did,
They
Mike?
ignored the alarm.
And do you know what he did? The security guard. He looked through the letterbox.
Right, and that was it.
He tried the front door. He walked to the side door. Tried that one. Got back in his car and fucked up. And they're all in the basement with the drill going.
Yeah, oh
And
shit.
they'd look, because they've got a lookout in the building opposite. And he's telling them what's going on. And yeah, and they're all going, oh, we're done.
Yeah, they're fucked.
And they're fucking honest, because like we said at the start, it was Easter bank holiday weekend. This guy's minimum wage.
Yeah.
He didn't give a fuck.
No,
he looked
no.
in the letterbox.
That's it, innit? He's done his
He
job.
went like
innit?
that on the door and he went, it's alright.
So secure.
Nobody's in there.
Insect set it off last time.
Even it's the most prestigious fucking vault in the
Well,
world.
should pay him more than
No,
should.
it's not worth it. But apparently the police got sued to fuck though because of the level of vault, it automatically goes to the police, the alarm going off.
Yep.
And it should have got escalated, if that's the right word,
Yeah,
pushed
yeah,
up.
it should have been, yeah.
Because of the location. But it didn't. It got
Of course, all the
swept under notice.
rich
Bank
people's
holiday
jewels.
weekend again. It affects the police.
Because
Everyone.
that
and
mentality. What the
it
fuck
did-
am I doing this?
They had to publicly apologise afterwards. Like it didn't break down in communication. They called it. He was like, "Fuck off." It was
Major fuck up, mate.
Everyone was at home. Everyone, I'm not.
The number
doing
one
it.
priority.
I'm not checking now.
The number one priority of the police is protect rich people's things.
So you do
Yeah,
know
but
what
then
it
when
is,
they
so-
realise the rich
Yeah.
things have gone, though,
That's what I mean.
and then
So-
they're sucking up on TV, going,
Yeah,
"We're
yeah,
so
of course.
sorry, we're so sorry." Fucking bitches.
So they did run into a roadblock when they encountered an immovable cabinet, which the pump couldn't move. They wanted to pop the things off the wall, didn't they?
Yeah.
Pop the safety deposit boxes off the wall. The
So-
pump they bought wasn't quite good enough.
So to explain, so think about this now. They've gone in through the front door. They've blocked off the lift on a certain floor. So
Climb down.
climbed
Upside
down 20 feet. These old men, right? This drill, I heard on it's called the Scotland Yard podcast. It's really good, actually. You should subscribe to that. It's based on their actual files and stuff. There was only a few hundred of these drills in the country.
Really?
Yeah, and it
Wow.
was stole from a few miles down the road.
No way. No way.
Right? It's got diamond teeth in it. It's water cooled, but they had to the wheelie bins, right, that they used to take the equipment in. So you've got this diamond drill that's designed to go through reinforced concrete.
Yeah.
It's got to be water cooled. They were filling the wheelie bin up with water with a hose pipe, then put a hose pipe in it and like siphoning the water out of the bin then onto the drill. Like for 11, they were there all night.
Fuck.
Right? They get through, so they've dropped these old men.
Yeah.
Have broken a front door of the world's most expensive vault without setting.
They walked in.
Well, they've walked in, look at
Yeah,
the key, yeah.
they've walked in with a fucking key.
Yeah.
They've cut the alarm. As far as they know, they cut the main one off, but a second one went off. Someone turned up, fucked off. It's fine. They've dropped down 20 feet down a lift shaft, cut off the lift above them so nobody can follow down. Used this fucking drill where there's only several hundred of them in the country. Drilled through, what was it, 10 feet?
A 10-foot door. Just imagine that, a fucking 10-foot fucking thick door.
And you can see in the pictures they did 3 holes overlapping, didn't they, so that you could fit a person through. And they also measured each other to see which one of the fat old cunts could make it in.
Yeah.
Right? So to get these 3 holes done, it's took them they've been there all night. It's the morning, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah.
And they're through, and they think, in their plan that took them nearly 5 years or something to do, we're just going to push these cabinets over and go in. They fucking realise it's bolted in to the floor and the ceiling.
Bolted in, yeah.
So they've got in, but there's
They've
a
done all that. They've
cabinet
got
in the way that's bolted
through
to
the
the floor.
wall. They're in, but they can't. They thought they could push it over. They can't.
So they've got to drill through that.
They go. They leave.
Ah.
Back in the day, though, they wouldn't have been bolted down. That was a new thing. That was a new security feature that these things were bolted in to the top and the bottom to the wall. But back in the day, they wouldn't have been.
Right. So, but this is where the story takes a big twist then, because they leave. Now the leader, Brian, who started the whole thing, in the old days, he said the cardinal sin, you can't go back.
Yeah.
It's done. We tried. We did. Yeah. We got that close. You don't go back.
But also, he had a lot of money invested in this, didn't he?
He planned the whole thing.
He planned it, and he had money invested in it, so he needs a return.
But he also stuck to his old. But they all said he lost his bollocks, and they turned on him basically like he lost his arsehole. Fuck him. But he was sticking to the old rules. Like, you can't go back. We're going to get caught.
Yeah.
But Mike, they just decided we need something just strong to push that fucking cabinet over.
Yeah.
So one of the silly cunts drove his own car to a tool mart where you rent tools from, rented a hydraulic pump in front of all the cameras, everything, signed his own name and address, and they went back the next morning without the leader, because they'd done everything, hadn't they? They'd made the hole, but still nobody's been in and seen the damage yet, because nobody's back until Tuesday morning. So they do it all again, back part the van, walk past the cameras on the street, do it all again, go down the shaft again. They used the fucking thing, they push the vault over, and they're in.
But without the leader.
Without the leader, they're in through the gap. But the leader comes back into it because, like Ben said, he has spent years, Mike, buying information, casing things. Like, this has took him a long. You don't just do this by accident. Like, getting that key must have, like, do you know what I mean? Like, the planning of it, like. But they secretly, like, they've got, because they've found out who they were and bugged them for weeks. They're all slagging him off in the car. He lost his fucking arsehole. Fuck him. He don't deserve fuck all. And that. Be like, no, you ungrateful pricks. You wouldn't have even. Yeah. I see both sides. Go on then.
What I really liked is when they cut the loot up in criminal terms.
What do they call
sacrifice.
The slaughter.
The slaughter. You're cutting it up.
They're so used to it, mate. Because I didn't realise this. You all go off with your own. You leg it. Then you agree we're all going to meet back up. Yep. You bring everything that you've got, and it's all put out on the table. You find out what you've got, then you know what you can divvy up, and they call it the slaughter. Yeah. Fucking slaughter. The slaughter. Oh, I love this.
Bring your daughter
to the slaughter. Right, I need a piss.
So let's have a look. So this is the largest burglary in English legal history. Yeah. Up to this point. Let's have a bit of a scan through the members of the gang. Brian Reed, the master of the group.
Mr. Ginger.
Yes. Well, no, he was Basil, Mr. Ginger, the one that didn't catch to the end. Upon reviewing the security film The Heist, the ever-polite authorities gave the unidentified thieves the quaint names of Mr. Ginger, Mr. Strong, Mr. Montana, the Gent, Tall Man, and the Old Man. Former bank robber turned good guy Noel Smith also reviewed the footage, and he reckoned that the thieves would be a crew made up of foreign nationals.
Did you watch the documentary?
With Ross Kemp, yeah.
Did you see the bit at the start where they said about, like, in that first 24 hours or so, they were like, people were speculating it was a highly trained team of commandos from Romania, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
they probably never worked together, never will again.
Like, just this mad it must have been the most highly trained, like, he's bunch of fucking, and one of them on the CCTV has to keep pausing and catching his breath because he's fucking diabetic with asthma. I love it so. It's so British. It makes me cry with pride.
To quote him, he literally says it'd be a crew made up of foreign nationals, likely Eastern Europeans and Israelis, who have never met and are together for this one job. He wasn't even close. But is that, on his part, being a bank robber turned good guy, is he throwing the heat off his old mates?
But maybe though, if you didn't know that this was the truth, if somebody just asked you, you're that sort of person, you're not going to think, oh yeah, it's a bunch of 70-year-olds, who used to be bang on at this shit, who've suddenly decided for some mad reason they're going to have another go, even though most of them have got wives and, you know, houses, grandkids, or just like. It's beyond mad. It's amazing. God love him.
The leader of the gang was Brian Reader, 76 years old, who had already helped steal £26 million.
Fair play.
£26 million worth of gold, that is in sterling, in the notorious 1983 Brinks-Mat robbery.
The year I was born.
Yep. 83.
What a
Good
legend.
year. What a year.
Well, he did spend 8 years in prison for that, but apparently...
8 years, that's it? £23 million worth of gold?
What a trade.
Then he was acquitted of any involvement. Oh, sorry, that's something else.
That's the murder of the police.
Yeah, murder of the copper.
Right.
He didn't do it.
He spent 3 years planning the Hatton Garden heist. Stood up on diamonds, so he'd know exactly what to take, and even practiced a dry run with the rest of the gang. He also sported a jaunty red scarf for the heist, which I love. However, he did decline to be a part of the second night of the robbery. It was too risky. Reader's son, Brian Paul Reader. He goes by Paul, even though I'd go by Paul if I was called Brian. No one likes a Brian unless it's Monty Python's Live O'Brien.
No, Brian's are sensible though, aren't they?
They are still. Yeah, but you don't want your fucking. Well, if you're a Gaz, you've robbed £26 million worth of gold. In the biggest.
So my son's called Brian. What are you going to fucking do, babe?
Well, I'm going to name my son
Brian.
Well, his name's Brian, so...
Because I don't want him to follow the family business. I want him to be a doctor.
Isn't his name Brian?
Brian Reader, yeah, exactly.
Brian Reader.
Yeah.
Okay. But why they call us?
So really, technically, he should be called BJ. Brian Jr.
Yeah.
I'm not calling him that.
Daniel Danny Jones. Rich crime history. 60-year-old Danny Jones.
Spring chicken.
He was the youngest of the group, I think. Yeah.
Criminal record dating back to 1975. And in 1982, he was convicted of stealing £92,000 from Ratner's Jewellers. And as recently as 2014, he had burgled the Chantilla jewellery shop, where George Clooney's wife gets her pearl and diamond earrings from.
Go on, lad.
Yeah. Friends called him eccentric and even a madman who claimed he could tell fortunes, talking to his dog like a person. That's not eccentric.
That's normal.
That's normal.
Yeah.
Because you talk to your dog like it's a person.
I talk to my cat like
Exactly.
she's fucking Shakespeare.
Of course you talk to your pet like a...
Wherefore art thou, Rhoda?
She understands, yeah. You know what I mean?
More weirdly, he occasionally went to bed wearing his mother's dressing gown, wearing it with a fez hat. When he wasn't sleeping on the floor, army style, that is. So it's no surprise that Jones's elaborate outfit for the robbery, including striped trousers, a high-vis waistcoat, red trainers, and a navy baseball
Because
cap.
you want to stay inconspicuous, you see.
Look at me!
You don't want to stand out, do you?
No, that's true.
What a fucking idiot.
He'd read the book Forensics for Dummies and could be heard bragging, the biggest cash robbery in history at the time. That's what they're saying. What a book you could write.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. They took a fuckload of bleach in with them, didn't they?
Yeah.
They bleached the shit out of the place. My favourite detail from once they got in there, though, Ben, is that the vast majority of actual boxes that they opened were at chest height.
Right.
Well, think about it. Why do you think that was?
Because it's that's you've got something really high value, you sing at the top, wouldn't you?
They didn't want to bend. They couldn't bend down.
Oh, they couldn't
could
bend
Or
down.
reach up. So most
Or
of them.
stretch too
Yeah,
much.
exactly. So most of them were exactly chest height. Oh, God love him.
Well, he buried his part of his loot at the cemetery, didn't he?
Yeah.
And when the police said, all right, come on, we've got you. No, I'll take you there. He showed him a tiny bit of it.
Yeah.
Later, authorities found a second cache of Cartier watches, loose gems, large quantities of cash, and various items of jewellery. But still, the find only amounted to about £613,000.
Like a fucking
only.
squirrel, innit? He just fucking...
You know what I'd have done?
Buried his gems.
Yeah.
If I was going to do this job, right, I'd have spent a significant amount of money on an incredibly good passport that was not in my name,
Just fucked off straight away.
and just gone, thank you very much, I'm going to sell this as fast as possible to whoever, I don't care. I'm going to get as much money as I can, even if it's a fraction of us, and I'm going to get the fuck out of the
And what
country.
are you going to do? You're going to take the jewels with you
That's the thing, though.
through customs?
I know it's not the same as a documentary, but
Didn't take that through, did you?
No, I'll sell them. I'll sell them
Oh,
as
you
quickly
sell them
as
before you
possible.
leave?
Sell them as quickly as possible on the black market before I leave.
yeah.
I don't
Well-
care. I know it's worth X amount
That's
of
the-
millions,
that's-
but if I can get half that and I'm in my 60s,
Yeah.
right, I am getting out of the country as fast as possible. That money in my bank,
Yeah,
in a Cayman Island account,
that's the
which I
problem.
only need £1,500 to open.
That's the problem they had though, Ben, is like, I know it's like the movie's not the same as the fucking documentary, but like, you've got all them watches and rings and diamonds and a bit of, there's, well, a lot of cash, but like, it's a mixture of literal cash, watches, diamonds, right? So, you can't just instantly turn that over, can you? Like, they were all arguing over, some were saying we've got to let the heat die down and stash it and wait. Because you can't just instantly then... Cause
But they're 70s, and the 70s are not going to be around forever.
yeah, but even though, if you think though, Mike, if you're doing...
I know what you're saying, I know
if
what
you're
you're
a
saying.
professional at this though, and you think...
Oh, if we're doing it
Because
now,
they're saying...
at
No, but
40
they even though... Because that's why they were starting to argue straight away as soon
Yeah.
as it was done between them, because the oldest... I can't think... Not the leader, because he didn't go back the second night, but he went back and met him in the pub, because it's all on the... Because they were under... Have you seen all that footage, Ben?
Yeah,
they, had
yeah.
they had a camera in a pint, Mike, and the three of
Who
them...
had a camera and a point?
The police... Right?
Right.
And the three of them are sat in the corner there like that, right? And someone's at the bar like that with their pint, and the fucking dickhead is literally, you can't hear it, there's no sound, but he's explaining to the leader who wasn't there, he's like, yeah, then we went and we got the pump, yeah, and we went, boom! Like that, he's literally...
So he's acting out what
He's
he's...
showing it
yeah.
with his hands, so what happened, and the fucking copper's there with the pint going, yeah, fucking silly cunt, and that's...
They got a lip reading specialist.
Lip
didn't they?
reader...
Which is open to interpretation.
Yeah, I
surely.
thought that was a bit. I would, if I had a good lawyer, I think you could argue around that. Like, that's your interpretation, fucker. Though it's a bit, Ben, when he's going.
Yeah, I know.
Then
I know what you're
we
saying.
got the pump and we went boom, 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 and it went boom, and then fucking we're in.
I know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying, but
It's surprising that was held up in court though. Lip
Yeah.
reading.
it's
I
not
was a bit
exact
surprised
science,
by
is
that.
it?
Yeah, I was
I don't
surprised
know.
by that. This ain't in America. Like,
I mean, it's a pretty good way of, deaf people can do it, and that's great.
oh,
But at the same time, it is still open to interpretation, surely.
But to get back to why they all so you've got this fucking, they don't even know what they've got, right? So you've got basically the slaughter, you've got to work out what you've got
Yeah.
before you can
Well, makes sense,
go your
doesn't it?
separate
Yeah.
ways. But immediately after, they're panicked. So they go and like that guy burying it in a fucking cemetery, and like one of them gives it all, most of his shit to Billy the Fish, and like they all go off their separate ways for a few days, but then they agree that they're going to meet and do the slaughter,
Oh, the slaughter off.
and they're arguing over it. They want to cut out the leader because they're saying he bottled it, he didn't come back, so fuck him. And they've got all this on like, because they were being bugged and fight. The police were well onto them by now because
There's
do
more
you
of
know
this
what?
down the further down.
Say again, mate.
There's more of this further down.
Oh, sorry.
But
I'm
it's
jumping ahead.
literally, no, it's good. We can. It's a Mercedes.
It's literally that simple, mate, that one of them used his own fucking car, which is a very distinctive car.
Yeah, a Mercedes
go
with
and-
black roof.
Can you imagine all these years of experience they've got?
White Mercedes.
So I don't think he understood CCTV.
No.
I don't think he
Only
realised
one of them
every...
did. Only one of them
Yeah,
did.
every square inch, and he was the last one he took
Yeah.
years later. So using your own car to do things they just didn't understand, did they?
No.
They were so excited at being back in the game, like they were, and they nailed it. They got down that shaft, they got in the door, like come on, the most prestigious vault in England, and they did it.
The second your feet touch the ground after that 20-foot abseil.
Imagine that night though when
we're in. Come on, boys, we fucking got this.
But imagine when they couldn't get it over, and they thought the leader said it's done.
So you're gonna
but they
scale
went back.
that 20-foot as well after that.
Yeah, to get back up.
So you've got to. I don't know how they do it, to be honest.
They literally climbed up a rope, I think.
Yeah, you either climb up the rope or you kind of. Yeah, you'd have to put your feet on the wall and climb your way up.
And they might have had to put, help each other, like,
come
on,
you
you fat
Batman their way up the wall.
Yeah, 20 feet.
I struggle doing that now.
And they must have had to take turns holding that drill and everything. They're 76.
The oldest 71. Well, John Kenny Collins was 74 at the time of the Hatton Garden, with a criminal record already spanning over 50 years. Oh, his comrade said he was wombat thick. While Collins
I've never heard that expression before.
No, mate. While the BBC reported that Collins was instrumental in making several reconnaissance trips to study the crime scene and also purchased the extra equipment to access the vault, he also brought on his nephew, William Lincoln, as a getaway driver, as well as another man, Hugh Doyle, who the night of the burglary, Collins drove to a van in Hatton Garden and saved deposit, dressed as a building worker to serve as a lookout. He's the one bringing on 2 people. He also fell asleep at the job and was arrested a short time after receiving his part of the stash.
This next one's the nasty bastard of the group, though.
Terence Terry Perkins.
He's the one who poured the petrol on the...
Yeah. Described by a former cellmate as one of the very old school London criminal gents.
But look at him, he's just like someone's grandfather.
He does, he looks exactly like someone's granddad.
He's probably someone's granddad.
Well, he is, yeah, but he looks exactly like he fucking should too.
But he once poured petrol on a fucking...
Yeah. He robbed a Security Express depot in 1983 on his 35th birthday. He was able to purchase some real estate but was later caught, found guilty and sentenced to jail. Amazingly escaped in 1995. You don't get prison escapes anymore, do you?
No, not good high profile ones.
Nah.
Nearly 20 years he was on the lam.
Yeah, he was in 2012 he was caught again, serving the rest of his time after he was released just before the Hatton Garden safe deposit heist. So he went straight back in it.
Go on, lad, he'd only been out for a few... Yes.
He arrived at the scene disguised as a building worker, and after that first robbery attempt failed, he returned with his comrades 2 days later, this time on his 67th birthday.
Good lad.
Unbeknownst to Perkins, however, investigators later installed a bug in his car and listened in as he expressed a wish that he had taken a selfie in the vault and planned to melt some of the gold from his share of the loot to supplement his pension. However, before that happened, police found jewellery and cash stashes at home. Michael Basil Seed, the brain, the second brains of the group, the guy that knows how to do electronics, he knows surveillance.
Do you know, the only mystery, right, that was not explained, and I watched 2 movies, I watched several documentaries, BBC and ITV documentaries, right?
Yep.
And it never explained, and nobody's ever said or admitted, how the fuck Basil got connected to this
in the
old
ITV one. They do, because they're trailing the leader for a while before they snatch him.
Do you know why he was called Basil?
Why did they meet initially? Like, how did they?
They worked out on body language. They knew each other, and then they twigged on that they analysed his walk.
Yeah, that's how they caught him. Yeah. I remember all that, but what I'm saying is like, how
he'd been photographed with the leader.
Yeah, but that still doesn't explain. Like, so you're this retired 76-year-old former bad boy robber. How the fuck does this young master, well, young compared to him,
Michael C. is 54.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, compared to the but how the fuck does Basil come along, because he's the most mysterious one, and be like, listen man, you got to come out of retirement. They never explain how they knew each other. What I'm saying is, do you think Basil, I'm just speculating, do you think Basil grew up learning all this shit, knowing who the governor was?
Well, it said they'd met before.
Because
Seed had met Brian some years before.
Michael
maybe another job.
Yeah. I just meant they met in prison.
met the others
1984
in
arrest
prison,
for
didn't
LSD and cannabis, on an acquittal, and he was on the case of the Chatilas jewellery store, which you mentioned earlier, in which former Robert Danny Jones was arrested. Although he'd met Brian Reader some years before, but he liked to. He
couldn't have met him in prison then, could he?
No, he couldn't have. He was as off-grid as you could get.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. How did he link up?
Yeah, because apparently he didn't use a bank account and rarely paid taxes.
Yeah.
And have you heard all when they actually? Because it took them years to find this one, right? The rest of them were already in prison. But
3 years, it says. Yeah.
When they got to his apartment, Ben.
Yeah.
What they found in his apartment.
£143,000 worth of gold ingots, gems, and jewellery in
A
his bedroom.
smelter.
And a smelter.
Right, in a flat.
Yeah, it's insane.
A smelter. Surely that needs like. I mean, what do you power a smelter with? Gas? Like.
I guess so. Yeah.
So he's got gas can like in a flat. 140 grand's worth. Have you seen all the pictures? He just had mounds of it, gold, and that couldn't have been all from the Hatton Garden job. He's been this guy is like a comic book villain. That's why I was like asking. So no, he is. That's why I was pressing it earlier because he's like this mysterious like young master who he comes to these old boys who are like retired, and he's like, listen, we can do this. Like, how can we? Well, I've got a key somehow, and I can do the alarm.
Yeah, because his name Basil, it stood for something.
What does it stand for?
Best alarm specialist in London.
Oh, I love it.
Does it say that?
Yeah,
Or you just made that up?
No, it says that there.
I might.
That is even. I didn't hear that in the thing.
I might just come a little.
That is incredible. But this fucker, think about it. He's like he is a super villain who's been.
Yeah.
Who was his mum and dad? How did he decide? He's just like he's obviously clever.
His dad was a university professor, and he was college educated. But you must have got into. He's clearly got the brains, and he just applied his brain power to learning electronics. How do I defeat these electronics?
I just love the fact that he's obviously seen Reader, 76-year-old retired governor, just living a normal life now in the pub, and he thought, I'm going to go and have a word.
Yeah.
Listen, I know how to get a key to the Hatton Garden. What? Fuck off! I'm 76. No, listen. I just think it's the most amazing story. This young fucking genius has gone and got the old boys, and they did it. They just fucked these stupid, silly bastards
But I thought
who didn't understand CCTV. God bless your granddad.
Brian, who was the mastermind, though.
Who was, sorry?
Brian, the leader.
Well, no, he was leader, but I think Basil.
He couldn't have done it without.
No, but maybe he went to Basil.
Well,
said, right, I've got an idea for a job. Is this doable?
Possibly, yeah.
Is this doable?
I just wonder how maybe Basil was making a reputation of himself.
maybe.
And he'd heard about him for, I'd like to do one more.
I like the fact that in 1984 he was done for LSD and cannabis. Because I'd like to think this guy was he'd have gone on to go to university.
Yeah.
But he got into the drugs a little bit, got caught, got
and
a bit
he wants
silly.
to be alive and
He
do
wants to be alive, wants to
good
feel
things.
But he also knows, he's clever enough to know at this point in 20... What year are we in for this again?
2014 or
2014, 2015. He knows the internet.
Yeah.
He's like,
And
I know that they can track me on that. I know they can track me on my phone. I need to live as off-grid as possible.
And like you said, Ben, he was the only one on the CCTV who had he was the only one wearing a wig, a mask. He held a bag up over his face.
Yeah.
And the rest of him were just.
I'm going to use my own car. I'm going to Ivy's jacket. No one questions a
It's not the fucking old days, isn't it, Terry? Yeah.
I'm just going to drive past.
Yeah, how long you had that motor, Terry? How many miles you get to the gallon? Well, you know, it's a bit hungry on the gas, but it's alright, mate, you know what I mean? Yeah, nice one. Let's go rob this diamond.
It's the only white Mercedes with a black
roof and black wheels.
In the fucking London, probably.
Fucking nickelhead.
Yeah.
But, hey, look. They still, even though they got caught, they succeeded. They got the shit.
Yeah, they did,
yeah. Billy the Fish, William Billy the Fish Lincoln, he moved the goods. Younger nephew of Kenny Collins, 60-year-old William Lincoln, was known as Billy the Fish due to his regular Friday visits to Billingsgate Fish Market. His record was clean, other than once being convicted of beating a man with a chair. And he also admitted he was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. A claim backed by his defence, which claimed he was easily influenced by others and never refused anyone anything. Fucking hell.
So basically, his brother was one of the robbers, so they got the shit back before the slaughter. He gave it to him and said to him, to Billy the fish, just put that somewhere for me.
Yeah.
And I want it back soon, just no questions asked, right? Billy the fish shits himself and gives it to somebody else. Seriously. And they all, like, they've got the bugs from in the car of them all arguing over everything. Of like, what the fuck? They're all they instantly, Mike, implode on each other.
Yeah.
And just are all planning to sell the
No honour amongst thieves, Gaz.
Exactly. And I hate that bit because up until this point it's so romantic and beautiful.
This
When some money's involved.
They did still meet for the slaughter, but I do think they'd all stashed bits away and they'd already fucked each other.
Yeah, because they'd all carried bits
and they didn't want
weren't
Brian
bringing the full amount.
And the boss came back, the planner of it all. They didn't want to give nothing to him, but they didn't say that to his face because they're like, well, he spent.
He might be 76, but he'll still fucking keep the shit, beat the shit.
But also though, if I know you say no honour amongst it, but he's 3 years he planned. Without him, you wouldn't have had nothing. Do you know what I mean?
They were gonna fuck him over.
Yeah, they were literally gonna just do him, and they wanted to do Basil out of it as well because he was new. They were trying to say who the fuck's he at one point.
Yeah.
Oh, that might just be from the movie though. To be honest, I don't know if that's actual.
There was also Hugh Doyle and Carl Wood who were accomplices.
So just to say, he was a getaway driver, but
he was a getaway driver.
Because they were that sophisticated. They had somebody, and this is another thing. They must have had insiders because the building literally opposite the one they were robbing, they had an old boy sat
on the roof.
Yep.
As a watch out guy, and he's the one they followed, isn't it, Ben? He fucked things up for them.
Yeah.
They've got this silly snoozy old bastard, mate, up there, like, you know.
He fell asleep a bit.
You know, and then like. And that thing you said earlier, to go back to about Basil, sorry, let's pick up on that, about the walk. The police caught him, Mike, based on a walk.
Yeah.
His gait.
His gait,
He kicked a leg out. He kicked his right leg out as he walked, didn't he?
They studied so many, basically the leader.
Hundreds of hours.
Yeah, the leader, Brian, they followed him and they studied every single person that he met and tried to compare it to the one little bit of CCTV that they've got.
That's how they found him.
He'd done really well until that point.
I've got to be honest though, I couldn't see that walk thing.
I struggled a little bit with it.
I don't get what they were on about because he's kicking his leg out and I was like...
But we've watched a few minutes.
Yeah.
We all watched hundreds of hours.
And I suppose if we compared it to the next person and he was like, look, his leg, basically he's got a distinctive, his right leg swings out.
I suppose these people are trained to see them things.
Yeah.
We don't notice.
And based on that gave him enough to press forward, and then that wasn't the only thing. Obviously, once then they went in his apartment and went, oh, you have a smelter and £140,000 worth of gold.
Just sat in your flat.
Just
watches you prize the jewels out of.
Yeah.
You know.
And all these old men sadly went to prison, but I still think it's lovely.
Well, two of the men were eventually pegged as accomplices. 47-year-old Hugh Doyle, a plumbing engineer who was assigned to provide an exchange point for the stolen goods. Although he claimed to know nothing of the robbery, it was he who gave Kenny Collins a key to the robbery scene to let himself in and make coffee. That's interesting. I feel sorry for the victims from what's happened, he told a film crew, because people's lives have been devastated. But obviously, I didn't know what was happening.
I don't think people's lives have been devastated.
No, I'd imagine all those people, we'll get to this at the end.
They tried saying, didn't they, in the documentary that...
57-year-old Carl Woods was eventually accused of conspiracy to commit burglary and conspiracy to conceal, convert or transfer criminal property. But although he needed the money to support his disability income, he received nothing from the robbery. Why? Because, like Brian Reader, he pulled out of the second robbery attempt when he became leery after finding the fire escape door inexplicably locked. So he lost his shit, didn't he?
Sorry, I farted.
He lost his shit. Why is the fire escape locked? I want to get out. He's probably got a bit claustrophobic, got a bit stir crazy down there, hasn't he?
God, I'm just warning you. I have farted and it actually smells like
Hasn't
the
it?
undead. I'm so sorry, it genuinely smells like the undead. Just come back tonight. When it comes over, I'm sorry, boys. Burn as much, just like your lighters.
No, set the flat on fire.
That's bad when your own one makes you want to... I'm sorry, but I just feel like I've got to warn you. That's bad, man. It's one of the worst smells I've ever smelled.
Look, obviously, because this is the largest fucking heist in UK history, the police are going all out. Long before they knew who the perpetrators were, authorities thoroughly searched the crime scene, and consideration was that the Hatton Garden Security Deposit Limited was housed in the same buildings as several other businesses with a communal entrance, so it wasn't hard to see that thieves had accessed the vault wall via the elevator shaft leading to the basement where they drilled the hole. Although Detective Paul Johnson described the interior of the vault as chaotic, with dust, debris, tools and safety deposit boxes strewn about, and the neighbourhood thought nothing of the sounds of a drill, having previously informed that construction would be going on in the area. There were other matters to consider as well. There were no fingerprints at the scene, and the hard drives of the security cameras were missing, thanks to Basil.
Basil had the brains.
A fire which broke out around the same time as the robbery was a suspected link. The authorities said that the two events were unrelated. There was, however, some footage of the burglars missed, showing them wearing high-vis jackets and pushing a wheelie bin before leaving the scene in a white van. Detective Craig Turner explained it would take hours of forensic work and inquiries to put the puzzle together, while Johnson refused to elaborate on why police declined to investigate when the alarm first went off.
Just a bank holiday weekend, they'd been lazy.
Yep.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
The security
fucking-
guard had been
look,
there. For as long as far as they know, he's done a thorough job. He's checked everything.
Look
Yeah,
at
innit?
it another way. What is the unfortunate consequence on society of the Easter bank holiday weekend when spring is coming and it starts getting hotter? Every Brit, because he's got Friday and Monday off, he's going to go to the pub.
Exactly.
Every single one, right? And what's going to happen? They're going to sit out in that sun, they're going to drink beer, and then they're going to get fucking heat stroke
And fall asleep.
and fall asleep or
Be sick.
be sick and fight. I would imagine that police call-outs for violence outside of pubs escalates dramatically during this weekend.
Probably.
And it might have been the case that the police literally had no one to send. So when the security guard says, hey, I've been there, the doors are alright, and I looked through the letterbox, but obviously his report says conducted a thorough search of the property.
Thorough search.
Right? They're going to go cracking, because we haven't got anyone to stay out there for at least another couple of hours.
See you on Tuesday.
So the police are tracking down their suspects. They might have been meticulous, but they failed to consider the security camera footage on the streets surrounding Hatton Garden Safe Deposit. And on April 10th, the Mirror released a video showing the robbers wearing wigs, caps, hard hats, face masks, jackets and other items as they loaded the loot out of the building. Most telling was the white van pulling in front of the building, as well as another vehicle, a unique white E200 series Mercedes with a black roof and black wheels, as we said. Licenses of both cars were visible, and the Mercedes was eventually traced to Kenny Collins. Within 2 weeks, the police had managed to install listening devices into the two cars owned by Collins and Terry Perkins. Now authorities could trace the men's calls on their personal cell phone devices, mapping where and when they met, as well as when they planned to dig up the loot. Meanwhile, public sentiment rose for those whose safe deposit boxes were robbed. Many of them are local jewellers whose goods were uninsured.
That's
Why
their
were
fault.
they uninsured?
Yeah, why?
Why wouldn't you insure it? They're goods for your business.
Because you
Why
took
wouldn't
them
you
as
insure
collateral
it?
against some incredibly dodgy fucking land deal that involved the
Yeah.
murder of some Russian oligarch, you filthy fuck.
I just want to say that I have very little sympathy for the people whose safe deposit boxes were
Yeah,
robbed.
me too.
Yeah, you know what I mean? If you could
I want to
afford...
go on record. That's not a I'm poor, they're rich thing. It's like, hey,
Mm.
your shit's uninsured, you're doing dodgy stuff. That is not legit.
No, I know this bit is not fact. It was just from the movie, but it was beautiful. In the movie, Ben, Basil, after it's all happened. No. In between them going back.
Yeah.
Basil goes and visits the leader, chats with him, and the leader's like, I'm not going back, it's the cardinal sin, whatever. But he gives him a bit of paper with certain lockbox numbers on.
Right.
That he knows. But he says to him, you do know that when you open these boxes, they will want to kill you for the rest of your life. But
wow.
It's
you know what?
Worth opening these
I
ones.
can almost kind of believe that in a way.
I don't know how he had that
it could have been
information.
dramatic effect, but it seems logical that Basil, being the younger man on this heist, the youngest man on this heist, or youngest main member of the heist, best locksmith in London, goes to actually see the fucking boss. It's like, they want to go back in tonight.
Yeah, what are we going to do?
What should I do? What's your advice? No, don't go back in. It's a cardinal sin.
Yeah.
But he does it anyway.
I know you are, so here's these.
Don't
open these ones.
Which is like the plot of the bank
No, he
job
tells them you do open them ones, but
yeah.
you realise though that you steal what's in these, they're going to want to kill you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But they're the big ones, which were the most inconspicuous ones because they were. This is why they only recovered 4 million out of 14. Is things we don't understand, like diamonds and that. They're minuscule in those little paper packets. That he was able to slip into his sock and his pants and things like, and there's like a £2 million like you know what I mean, like these mad whether you can sell it on and that is new. That's the bit that where it gets all weird, why they need smelters and everything because once you've got all this robbed, you've got 2 million's worth of gold rings and watches and how do you turn that into 2 million?
Cash for gold. Yeah, they send you a prepaid envelope and you put it in and you send it off.
Cash converter.
For gold? That's what you're doing. We'll send you a valuation and a prepaid envelope and you're like, I've just prized the watch faces off these Rolexes with the jewels in, throw it in, seal the envelope, fold it down, send it off.
Cash.
There might be a snag in that though.
Say again, mate.
Might be a snag in that.
What's
I'm assuming that they must, by law, be required sort of check on like the police database whether it's been
apparently
stolen.
the leader is still arguing with because they took his other assets and he's trying to prove that they were nothing to do with the Hatton thing.
So it must all be logged,
even though he's 80 odd.
The police must put up on a website saying these things have been stolen if you come across them.
Serial numbers.
You've got to think now, Mike. The people. Do we know? I'm just speculating. We don't know in that Hatton Garden thing what type of people. You know. Do you give your real details? Do you, if you're hiding a $2 million diamond that you've got as a down payment?
You've got to do. You got a $2 million diamond.
And lots of cash. Lots of cash you can't put in the bank because it's from dodgy. Do you know what I mean? You got $500,000 cash because you're a really successful coke dealer. Can't put it in the bank. You don't leave it in your flat.
No, I know what you're saying, but that's what Basil did.
Imagine it's wealthy people, isn't it?
He didn't have a bank account.
I'm just saying. I do. Yeah, no, you're right. But I do think that this. I think there's loads of dodgy. So much of that shit in there was from ill-gotten.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah, fully agree.
Because why is it not in the bank?
Why is it not in the...
If it's cash,
why is it not insured? Why
is it not insured? Why is it not declared? Exactly. It doesn't matter how prestigious it is. It's London. It's the fucking.
It's the fucking safe deposit box capital street of the world.
Yeah. And it got fucked up by some pensioners. Yeah, boy. Dad's fucking robbers. Dad's army of robbers, mate. I love it.
Yeah, I do love it. I love that it's like a crack team of professional criminals.
I hate that they got caught so easily because they just didn't understand the CCTV and the internet. Yeah. But they got the shit out the vault.
If they hadn't done that white Mercedes, if you hadn't driven past in that distinctive white Mercedes, they'd have probably got away with this.
Mm-hmm.
The fact of the matter longer than they did.
Well, some might argue, Ben, that although they all did time, 4 million out of 14 million was recovered. Some might say they did get away with it, really.
Yeah.
The ones that lived. One of them died in prison, didn't he?
Let's not forget the police. I'm not saying they went away with most of it, but I'll guarantee you some of them pocketed that
I
cash.
get a couple of gold rings and £20 notes.
Yeah.
May have accidentally.
Of course you
Mate,
would.
Ben, if I was your average rank and file officer.
Oh, fuck yeah. Officer Vincent,
Are you
have you pocketed any of
shitting
that
me?
cash?
What? We don't turn on our own. Fuck you. I'll fight him.
You're out of line, Vincent.
Yeah. No, you're out of line, motherfucker. You don't question me or my team, and they'll be backing me up, up in his grill. Fuck you, and I'll shove a 20 in his face, right in his mouth, and go, silence, bitch, and walk off. Yeah.
I'm gonna take this to City Hall, Vincent.
No, I don't need to threaten that. No, because they just know. Look at my eyes. They're like, he makes Martin Riggs look like RuPaul.
Well, a ninth robber, John Harbison, was arrested after the...
a 9-inch robber?
John Harbison. The ninth robber, John Harbison. Not 9-inch robber. No, you got me questioning myself. I was thinking of my own penis again.
Yeah, right. Lord.
Well, that was when his partner was able to show 15-year-old photos of a family member wearing the alleged stolen jewellery. Meanwhile, the rest of the gang pleaded guilty and thanked the judge when he sentenced them to only 6 and 7 years each. The Daily Mail predicted they'd be out in less than 4.
Yeah, gotta be. Say again, mate.
So the Daily Mail predicted they'd be out in 4, less than 4.
Well.
The judge was perhaps lenient since Brian Reed had suffered a stroke while in prison. And besides, these prisoners were all elderly. Notable too is that Hugh Doyle received no jail time and was just fined £367.50. So,
very British.
as we said, that of the £13.69 million, let's call it 14 for simplicity's sake, only a bit over 4.32 million have been recovered. So, soon after sentencing, the judge handed down a caveat to the inmates. Pay compensation totaling £27.5 million based on their available assets, or spend another 7 years in prison. For some of the older, unwell robbers, that was quite possibly a life sentence, since some of them were likely to die before their sentence was up. And when Michael Seaves was at last caught in March of 2018, he was eventually sentenced to a total of 18 years.
Fuck.
Now, still, does crime pay? The Guardian reports that the Hatton Garden safe deposit was forced to close after trade dropped off in the wake of the high-profile theft. The closure came as police continued working to find some of the owners of stolen items, many of which were not or could not be identified by their owners.
You're criminal bastards.
In 2018, Terry Perkins died in prison. Brian Reeder was released after a series of strokes, and Danny Jones had 3 more years tacked on. Although Kenny Collins was released after serving half of his sentence, he was ordered to pay £7,635,233,000 and 31 pence. When he couldn't, he was ordered to serve 7 more years. Collins appealed, but lost. So, I have very little sympathy for the people that had these boxes robbed. I don't care if people who were keeping uninsured jewels lost their pension funds, because fucking insure them, otherwise you're doing something illegal. I love this heist. I think it's fantastic. It's a crack team it's the A-team of pensioners.
Yeah, man.
And young Maverick.
Yeah.
Young Electronics Maverick, or young
It's like
in
a
their
movie,
eyes.
isn't it? It's just beautiful.
It is. It's a... I see all these guys have been part of the transit van golden era robbery of heists, haven't they?
Yes.
And sawn-off shotgun, maybe coat something in petrol, which I still say is not a nice thing to do.
Maybe watch your mate stab a copper.
Maybe watch your mate stab a copper, which of course they will always then look at you for.
And want to get you, but you're acquitted, so it's fine.
But you're still quite a wealthy bloke.
Yeah.
living a career criminal life. I don't. Look, I have a little bit more sympathy for these guys than I do the people who lost their money.
Yeah, I love these guys. I think it's an awesome story, and it's very British, and you know, it makes me want to eat a big Yorkshire pudding full of Sunday dinner.
Oh, that's the king of Sunday dinner, isn't it?
And raise a pint of mild.
You know, they're discontinuing mild. Carlsberg
these are
and
the-
Banks is now, and Banks' mild is going to go out of business. Not doing anymore.
Well, we'll raise one to these bad boys.
And also,
legends, 60s.
Dinner and a Yorkshire pudding is always been my Sunday dinner download festival of choice. Ironically, you said it. Every Sunday,
A Yorkshire pudding festival.
Yorkshire pudding full of Sunday dinner
Yes.
At a festival.
at a festival.
Oh, I'm with you.
It's always been my Sunday dinner of choice at a festival.
Good for you.
What's your only choice, probably?
No, I can have a burger.
I would say.
It's
Well,
your
yeah,
choice
but you know
of
what I mean,
Sunday.
you
know.
Well, calling it a Sunday dinner is.
Yeah, but every Sunday I have Sunday dinner.
It's
Where, no matter where I am.
Same here, because I am fucking British.
Exactly. It's
I'll
just
make one
done.
for myself.
I will just literally just fucking do it.
Put my face in it. Right. Anyway, I think that concludes this most British of episodes.
Yeah,
don't
Mike, do you have anything to add?
But, you know, fuck them. Fuck the rich people, what I say.
think-
I knew you were, you know what, Mike, when Gaz announced this and I started researching it, I thought, Mike's going to say, fuck the rich at some point.
They probably stole it off the backs of the working man anyway, so...
There you go. I think Mike should plan a robbery first.
I don't.
I do. I'd help you if you planned it properly.
Alright, we'll all plan together though, yeah?
Yeah, not on air though, let's not discuss it.
Yeah. You can just rub the local supermarket, mate. I'll help. Get some crisps.
Oh wow!
Whoever wouldn't get, man. We'll go wild.
We should get the cigarettes and booze one there, shouldn't we?
If crisps will be easier, trust me. Based on previous experience of breaking into corner shops. That's a joke. I've never broke into a corner shop.
It's the time that we all planned the biggest heist in British history.
For crisps.
The biggest crisp heist in British history. We're going to rob the Walker's factory. Get ready, boys.
Oh, the prawn cocktail is gone.
Not robbing prawn cocktail.
Oh,
No
the
cheese and
prawn.
onion.
The cheese and onion, it is gone.
No one's robbing prawn. No one's robbing prawn cocktail.
They rub everything.
Why is he Asian?
Because I like new voice. Just end it, please, before we fucking... Christ.
Devolve into...
Yes, I do
He's
fucking...
evolved with the burning Manning project.
Well, we evolve into that.
Well, I'm in Ben. Do as thou wilt, but remember that love is the law, and that every man and woman is a star.
Yay.
Well, you're living that life, whether you admit it or not.
I've been Mike, thanks for listening. Peace out, may the force be with you.
Always. May the force be with you. I've been Gaz. Free Biff Tannen. Goodbye.